Well, welcome everybody. It is time to go live today on Alternative Influence Coaching with your host, me, Terry. I want to talk about limiting beliefs. Yeah. So I got a few on the board back there. I have judgment, failure, and the past, because your past can be full of lots of things that cause you, that fog the old windshield, as it were, for the future. So, I'll tell you a little story. So, it's actually not a story. It's a study that I recently was listening to on a podcast, and it was about. And there's a lot of controversy here, so I don't want to hear about it. So you can go somewhere else and argue with somebody else. It's about 5G and the microwaves and their ability or inability to penetrate the skin of the body, right? So there's a whole section of people out there that believe that microwaves would make them sick, that give them headaches, that cause depression, anxiety. So yeah, the gambit of disorders. So they did a study on this with 100 people, and they put them in a room, and there was a box sitting over here, and they said, when that box lights up, that's when we've turned on the 5G. Okay, so we just want you to know that when that flips on, 5G's in the room. That's a mini cell phone tower right there. So what they didn't tell the people in the study is that they don't always actually turn on the 5G. As a matter of fact, 80% of the time they turned the light on, they didn't turn the antenna on. So there was not actual 5G waves moving through. The problem here is that a lot of people still felt the symptoms, the very real symptoms, right? We're not going to argue whether the symptoms were real or fake, but they had real issues. They were tested for these issues, and they certainly had them. They felt those issues as soon as that light went off. Why? Because they believed it. There's power there. Now, the study, I didn't do the study. If you're interested in it, it's on a podcast called Science Versus. They have, if you want to search and run that down, they have all of the sources listed there. That's not what I do. So I don't care. Just the point of today is this. The power of belief is, it has the power to limit you, and it has the power to enable you to do great things. And that's no BS. That's not like, we're not lighting candles and sitting around incense and making stuff up, right? This isn't talking to yourself in the mirror and just trying to just chat it up with with a ridiculous pattern that somebody created that is a proven method. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Okay, so and sure, people have found routines and ways in which to keep them in a spot of positively believing things about their day, right? Or who they are. So yeah, for them, that's awesome. That's great. I mean, we're not here to, like I said, I'm not here to argue that, but we're here to maybe to imply or press upon you that your belief system is really what is limiting you, right? Like, you believe that when you post something, or when you go, maybe you go live like me, and you fear judgment of others. Well, what are they going to think of my message? Are they going to think that I'm a kook, right? I'm sure there's some of you out there that think that. My kids think that from time to time. I don't care, right? That's a limiting belief, right? So if you can get past that one, caring what other people think about you, well, maybe even I like to say that I don't care what other people think about me. I don't even care what I think about me. I care what the truth is, and I care about sharing it with people. So that's how I get through that and get myself in the practice of publishing and talking to others, right? As a coach, that's what I do. So we have a limiting belief of failure as well, right? And we have that belief because we failed before, and that hurt, and for whatever reason it hurt enough to worry us, trigger us from ever wanting to feel that way again. But if I asked you point blank, what did you learn from that situation? You would give me something. I know you would, because you learned something, because typically failure equals pain equals memory. That lesson is burned into your skull. Okay, so you're looking at failure wrong for one. Two, so what? Like that, if you look at failure as a positive thing, because it forces a pivot and gives you education, then we're moving, right? We've taken that out of being a limiting belief, and now it's an enabling belief. This is the past. So whatever out there has plagued you and haunted you about your past, jobs, relationships, bankruptcy, maybe, loss of a house, loss of a car, anything like that really ruffled the old feathers, that isn't necessarily going to happen again, right? If you learn from your failure and you've jumped over judgment of others and you're moving. Now, there are some things you can do for safety here. Safety is maybe not the right word. It's as a precaution, is to take somebody with you, right? So maybe you, instead of going at something alone, taking a risk on your own, take a partner. What is the old adage, right? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, take somebody with you. Take a team, right? Or I've heard in the past years, and I've often got annoyed when my 20-somethings, my employees or staff, oh, you're doing too much. Well, you can't run a gym and start a clothing line and start a satellite workspace. You're right. I personally can't. My expertise only goes over a certain amount of things and trickles down a certain distance. But I'm not doing it by myself. That's why you're here. Always thought that was very interesting. Well, you can't do that alone. Well, you can't do that alone. You're right. That's why you're here. Oh. You're here to help. You're here to go far, right? And in hindsight, a lot of those things, not a lot of those, there was a few of those things that failed before they ever got out of my head, right? They failed before they ever got off the piece of paper. And that's because the team failed me. So I had a vision. I took it to a group of people. They were into it. And then after a little while, one by one, they dropped off, right? So then we're done, right? There's no place to go with that. No team, no vision. I'm not going to move on that idea. Was it disappointed? Yes. Did I do something else in exchange? Absolutely. That's what I do. I hope that's resonating and making sense. These limiting beliefs don't have to paralyze you. They often won't when you've got a partner. You need to be able to bounce stuff off of your partner, and hopefully your partner is opposite you in a complementary way, so that as to not cause friction. You don't want your exact. And that goes for a lot of things. Like, you don't want to date your exact, you don't want to marry your exact replica, your reflection, that person. I just want the female version of myself, right? That's never going to work. You want somebody who is opposite than you. I love Josh for that. Josh is my partner in this. He doesn't like the camera. That's fine. I don't mind it. He keeps my feet on the ground, but I pull him up, and we have vision because of our opposition, and we have a better plan because of it. We have less risk involved. We also have a clear path, and we are walking in that direction. And that can only happen with somebody of your opposite, with somebody on your team member that complements you. He is strong where I'm weak, and vice versa. I'm strong where he is weak. So you want that, right? Sometimes it takes more than two people. It takes 3 or 4 or 5. You want to be careful with that selection, and don't hire before you need to. Boy, we got off of limiting beliefs and went straight to staffing. 100 miles an hour today. So I'm going to leave you with these things. The power of motivation starts first with you. If you cannot motivate yourself, you might not be cut out for entrepreneurship. If you cannot, I want you to hear that again. If you cannot lead yourself, then you might not be cut out for this business that you're looking at. So, start trying to figure out how to empower yourself to get away from the negative, limiting beliefs and into a positive frame of mind. And that's going to mean a lot of things. It means you journal some of your limiting beliefs, your fears, your concerns or worries, and you get rid of that piece of paper, you burn it. That's always fun. It's going to also mean that you write things that motivate you to where you can see them. You set goals that you can see before you. Maybe you've got a goal list that you pinned up somewhere on your bathroom mirror, on your refrigerator, on your desk. And then you also stay on task. So you have a to-do list and you're after it. Get after that list every day, checking the list, crossing something off, adding 2 more things. That's typically how my list goes. So we are moving away from limiting beliefs, right? You have to take action. You can't just say, I'm not going to think that way anymore. You have to not think that way anymore, but walk in a way that resists thinking that way. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's walking through, that's identifying your fear and moving through it. That's bravery. Yeah? Perfect. Well, I'm glad you're here as always. I have some fun new interviews coming, so you're going to start seeing some of that, which I'm really excited about. Interviewing some people that were in the book that contributed, but also some fellow business owners. So we're pressing hard. Tis the season for this. So the book is out. I know there was a little bit of an issue with the link initially. That'll be squared away and fixed. I hope you picked up a copy. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. So I think this is what we're in for today. It's good to have you as always. Now go create something great and tell me how it went.